Imagine walking through a forest, knowing one of the world's most venomous snakes could be hiding just a few feet away. That's not a horror movie. That's a real island off the coast of Brazil. It's called Ilha da Queimada Grande. Most people just call it Snake Island. In the densest parts of the forest, researchers estimate there's roughly one venomous snake for every 150 square meters of ground. One of the highest densities of venomous snakes anywhere on Earth. But the deeper you dig into this island, the stranger it gets. There's a lighthouse family that vanished into local legend. A black market smuggling trade most people have never heard of. A scientific mystery nobody's fully cracked. And a connection to another forbidden island that's even stranger than this one. Roughly 20 miles off the coast of Sao Paulo state, sitting alone in the Atlantic, there's a 106-acre island covered in thick tropical forest. From a drone, it looks like paradise. Green canopy, turquoise water, the whole postcard package. Civilians aren't allowed to set foot on it. The Brazilian Navy enforces that. The only people who get access are a small handful of scientists, and even they travel with a doctor, a medevac helicopter on standby, and blood held in reserve. The works. Get bitten out there, and there's a real chance you don't make it back to the mainland in time. So how does an island off the coast of Brazil end up needing military-level restrictions? It starts with the snake itself. The golden lancehead viper lives here, and nowhere else on the planet. Not the mainland, not a nearby beach, just this one patch of forest. And its venom is in a league of its own. Researchers estimate it's 3 to 5 times more potent than its closest mainland relative. It causes necrosis, which basically means it can dissolve the tissue around the bite, add an internal bleeding, kidney failure, and in severe cases, brain hemorrhaging. The fatality rate for untreated bites sits somewhere around 7%, dropping to roughly 3% with prompt treatment. And honestly, even that untreated number is probably generous, since most people been out there never make it to a hospital to be counted at all. Fishermen along this coast have an old saying about the place. Go there, and you don't come back the same person, if you come back at all. All right, an island full of venomous snakes. Creepy, sure, but not exactly shocking on its own. The really wild part is how it got this way. It all started around 11,000 years ago, at the tail end of the last ice age. Melting glaciers pushed sea levels up along the Brazilian coast, and a chunk of the mainland got cut off completely. Any snakes living on that land were suddenly stuck. For good. On the mainland, lancehead vipers hunt rodents, bite, inject venom, then track the animal as it slowly dies. Simple, but strand a snake on an island with no mammals, and that strategy falls apart. The only food source left is birds, migratory birds using the island as a rest stop along the Atlantic flyway. Bite a bird, and it can just fly off before the venom kicks in. Meal gone, into open air. So over thousands of generations, the venom here evolved to work almost instantly, fast enough to drop a bird out of the sky before it escapes. That's not a mutation gone wrong. That's a killing machine fine-tuned for one very specific job. No predators, a steady food supply. The population exploded. Today, researchers put the number somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 snakes, packed into just 106 acres. In the densest zones of the forest, that works out as something like 1 snake per 150 square meters, still one of the highest densities of venomous snakes on the planet. Even if it's a far cry from the old 1 per square meter myth you might have heard elsewhere. Now imagine those odds in your own backyard. Portuguese sailors likely knew about this island for centuries and, understandably, kept their distance. It wasn't formally studied until the 20th century, when Brazilian herpetologists started documenting the population and realized just how unique and how dangerous this ecosystem actually was. What most people don't know is that the island wasn't always empty. For a stretch of the 20th century, real people actually lived there, And that's where the story stops being a nature documentary and turns into something a lot darker. In the early 1900s, the Brazilian Navy built a lighthouse here to guide ships along a notoriously dangerous stretch of coastline. To keep it running, they stationed a keeper on the island, and in most versions of the story, his wife and children lived there with him. Local legend in the nearby port towns along this coast says the snakes eventually found their way inside, slipping through windows and gaps at night. One night, the story goes, the family tried to make a run for their boat in the dark and never made it. I'll be straight with you. This part sits entirely on the folklore side of the line. There's no verified historical record confirming any of it. No death certificate. No naval log entry describing a snake attack. Some versions say it was the keeper alone. Others say the whole family. What actually is on record is that the lighthouse was automated in the 1920s, and no one has lived on the island since, with Navy archives citing the difficulty of keeping personnel stationed there. Whether snake bites specifically forced that decision, or it was simply the grinding logistics of supplying a remote outpost. The official paperwork doesn't say. Whatever really happened out there, Brazil clearly decided it wasn't worth risking another family to find out. That's not even the darkest chapter here, because people haven't just died on this island by accident. Some have gone looking for trouble on purpose. A single golden lancehead viper, rare, endangered, and found nowhere else on Earth, has reportedly sold for anywhere between $10,000 and $30,000 on the black market. Collectors, exotic pet smugglers, and occasionally shady venom operations willing to skip legal channels entirely. That kind of money attracts exactly the kind of people you'd expect. Despite the ban, Brazilian authorities have caught and prosecuted poachers trying to sneak onto the island and smuggle live snakes overseas. People are willing to walk through a forest with real snakebite risk at every turn for a payday. That's either serious guts or straight up insanity, depending how you look at it. This is actually one of the bigger reasons behind the strict, military-enforced access ban. Public safety matters, sure, but conservation and anti-smuggling enforcement matter just as much. Every snake pulled off that island is a direct hit against a species that literally can't be found or replaced anywhere else on the planet. Even with everything researchers already know, some questions still don't have solid answers. Why did the venom here evolve so differently from every mainland relative and so much faster than expected? Isolation and a narrow diet probably sped things up, but the exact genetics behind are still being studied in labs today. There's also active research into medical uses. Some snake venoms have already led to breakthroughs in blood pressure medication and blood clotting treatments. That creates a strange contradiction. The very thing that makes this island one of the most dangerous places on Earth might also be sitting on medical discoveries we haven't found yet. Given all of that danger and history, you'd think Brazil would just clear the island out and make it safe. They haven't, and the reason says a lot about how we treat places like this. Brazil has made a deliberate call to leave this place almost entirely alone, and it's about more than just the danger. Ilha da Queimada Grande is something increasingly rare on this planet. For more than 11,000 years, humans have left it almost completely alone. No farming, no construction, not even invasive predators like rats or cats, the kind that have wrecked island ecosystems just about everywhere else on Earth. This isn't just a dangerous island. It's a nearly untouched evolutionary time capsule. Clear out the snakes, open it up to tourism, and you're not just risking visitors. You're almost certainly collapsing an ecosystem that took 10,000 years to build, and likely pushing the golden lancehead toward extinction within a generation. The ban isn't really about fear at that point. It's restraint. Brazil essentially decided, we don't get to have this one. And that idea, a place we've agreed to just leave alone, shows up more often around the world than you'd think. Snake Island isn't even the strangest forbidden island story out there. There's another one, and this one wasn't cursed by nature. It was created by it. Overnight, out of nothing, an island that didn't exist, and then one day, It just did. 2 islands banned for opposite reasons. One because it might kill you. The other because we're terrified of what we do to it. Different logic. Same rule. Stay away and let it be. And that second island is even harder to wrap your head around than this one. Because at least Snake Island makes sense once you know the science. The next one barely makes sense even with it. One isolated island. A snake found nowhere else on Earth. A legend that still refuses to die. And question science still hasn't completely answered. 11,000 years of isolation built a snake with venom tuned to be almost unnaturally efficient. A lighthouse family's disappearance turned into local legend and ended human life on the island for good. Smugglers still risk everything trying to profit off a species that can't survive anywhere else. And there's still real science left to figure out, including whatever medical secrets might be buried in that venom. All of it packed into 106 acres most of us will only ever see through a drone camera. Snake Island stays locked down, guarded, frozen in time, because of a few thousand vipers that turn into something nature never quite built anywhere else. Pretty wild. Maybe that's the real lesson here. Not every mystery needs to be conquered. Some places only survive because we finally learned to leave them alone. But remember that other island, the one that appeared out of the ocean overnight? No snakes, no century-old legend, just a piece of land that shouldn't exist, on a timeline that doesn't add up. And scientists made almost the exact same call Brazil did. Stay away, don't touch it. It's sitting right there. That one's coming next week. If you don't want to miss it, hit subscribe.